All right, welcome everybody to the next installment of our weekly community race for Worlds Collide, a Final Fantasy VI randomizer. Today we've got an exciting race. We've got Sid, Green Monkey, Dusk Lamond, and Nobody War. We've had
Hey,
all of these guys on Restream several times, except for Dusk. I believe this is his first time. I'm still familiarizing myself. We had kind of a delay getting the flags decided and set up, so instead, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Hashmalum, and with me, I've got Seto Kiyawa.
hey there, and it's great to be here. We have a interesting seed for everyone today. There wasn't really much of a plan for tonight's community race, and I believe a seed got rolled kind of at the last minute. So we're actually going through it right now and trying to see what the flags are. So it should be a big surprise for everyone. Everyone's going in pretty blind and pretty unprepared.
Which is how it should be, right? No unfair advantages here.
Yeah. And so far, everything looks kind of standard. The first thing we'll let you know is that we are doing a one character start, which is very interesting.
Yeah, you don't normally see that. It makes for kind of a lineal seed if you've got one character. I mean, you've only got so many checks, especially if that character's Mog or so, then you've literally got one check to do other than, yeah, I can't even do Kefka and Arsh or anything.
Nope,
So,
but looks like we're going to be starting in a minute. We see the race flag has gone down in Discord, and we're just waiting for our stream to catch up. Um, and I see the Coliseum rewards are completely visible, which is pretty awesome. Um, no, reward menu's false. My bad. Um,
let's see. Standard 6, 12, 3. We'll need 6 characters. Starting with 3 means we'll only have to find 3 more characters. 12 Espers, 3 Dragons. They do have to do all of those. Oh, and we're off. We're going. And our one character is Gao, which is very precarious. What does he have?
he
Oh, he's
is.
got GP Rain and Throw. We're good.
Yeah. So in throw in particular, it's going to be very good for Gal. Gal can be very tough with not starting with a fight command. Can really, if we had rolled bad, it would have been very it would have been very rough for all of our runners because they have no options. But throw is
And
probably
nobody
just
nobody
oh
roll
go
running into a leafer and trying to GP Rain to kill him and having 0 cash.
throw no starting cash. It
So
looks like.
so
Uh,
until they do some looting, they will have no damage whatsoever.
Whereas Duskamon's going to Ward of Ruin Narsh, not typically a play you see when you don't start with lock,
But
unless
they
and
have YNPC remove.
that is true. Yes.
So that's gonna be I imagine a lot of people should do this start.
Yeah, it's pretty much an automatic. If you have YNPC removed, get a very easy check and grab the curse shield early before you take any fights. And
And
we
it
have a
looks like
Bahamut.
he went for a was it Bahamut?
Yes,
Okay. I think it was that or a behemoth suit, which I would definitely take the Magicite in the progression any day.
I think it was a Genji shield actually, from what I
Oh, was it?
saw.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Oh
curse
yeah,
shield has
never take
14
that.
battles on it, which is
Yeah,
pretty
that's
high.
would you do that?
No, I would not do that.
Neither
14
would
is way
I.
too much. You're going to be
I
running
wouldn't
the pretty much the entire time with it on.
yeah, I wouldn't even think about doing it. 14. It's just money, which you're gonna need to buy throwables as well as GP Rain.
3K will buy you almost 10 skeins or something like that. So definitely nothing to sneeze
Absolutely.
at all. And one thing to point out with Dust Lemon here that is new for 1.0 is that we have changed how the airship works when switching between the two worlds. That previously you always spawned back at Narsh when you swapped worlds, and this time you don't. You will save your position on the world map, which means that repositioning your airship as you swap between worlds becomes a new skill we all have to develop.
Oh, it looks like items are free. Is that all shops?
All shops are
Wow.
0. Everything is free here.
Oh,
So,
and starting with throw. Oh, there we
oh,
got Sid
and
finding tax
Black
stars. There's
stars.
his damage for endgame.
Yeah, throw is easily, in my opinion, one of the only abilities that really scales to end game. And getting tax stars early, especially if you can find an Atlas armlet or something, you're pretty much set offensively. Hopefully.
So free shops makes the game significantly easier. I mean, he can buy Sid. Also, there were strikers there. I probably would have picked up 99 strikers just to throw them.
Oh
What
yeah,
I do like about free shops is a big complaint a lot of people have with the start of Worlds Collide is everybody does the same thing, right? You go to Narsh and grab the loot, and you go to South Figaro and grab the loot pretty much every time. Maybe a little different if you start with Terra. But with shops, all that looting is kind of null and void. If you want to go fast, you're just gonna check shops and not do any of the looting at all.
And you're already seeing that with Sid going right to Thamasa. You're right. You just start cycling through as many shops as possible. You know, you want places like Thamasa where the shops are very easily accessible by the entrance.
Ooh, and Dusk Lamont finding dragon horns.
Yeah, and the great thing too with it costing 0, it makes your menuing a lot easier. You just select something to hold up until you want to stop holding up, right? I saw one just buy 76 warp stones or whatever because why do you care? Just grab as many as you can. And it's going to make things interesting. I think it's a good balance with the Gal start. Throw was not guaranteed as a starting ability, but it makes this very interesting with these shops. You mentioned buying the strikers. I think a lot of game knowledge of what weapons become good throwables when you can buy becomes very good. Such as the Imp Halberd actually has almost max battle power at
True.
2 and so that becomes an amazing throwable if you can find that.
Right. They have plenty of options though. We've already seen sky renders, we've seen strikers, we've seen Excaliburs, I think, which do holy damage, but I mean if you're fighting Doom, that's a great thing to have in your arsenal. So
Exactly. My
this
opinion, you just
I'm
pick up
thinking this is
everything.
gonna be a jet seed. Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
Sid grabbed 31 dragon horns. I don't know if he'll need that many, but doesn't hurt. Ooh, Atmo
um,
weapons too
you
on
know,
a green monkey. If he picks any of those up.
you might as well, right? You can't throw them. They have a battle power of 0, I believe, when thrown.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you might
that's
as well
not the
grab
strat.
them. Who knows? You find Genji gloves. You find Genji gloves somewhere. You could be decking out 2 or
And
3 party
offerings.
members. Yeah. Here's the question. At this point, with shops being like this, do you
Oh,
even bother?
shops chests are straight up empty.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna
That makes
ask
sense.
if with shops like this, you even bother looking for chests. Do you even use South Figaro?
I wouldn't anyway.
Yeah.
So having them be empty, just it makes sense, but it is a little superfluous anyway because it's not going to be worth it with these shops.
The other thing to consider too is with everything costing 0, it means that finding an item shop with elixirs, X potions, or mega elixirs can just become your healing. I know I had a seed recently where I just bought 75 mega elixirs and just use that for
hmm
healing, and that can really make things a lot easier. And then
Just
on
need some remedies and some what revivifies, and you're good.
Yep, and I see nobody were picking up some X potions at a shop here, and yeah, it definitely has made it a lot different, and that really is one of the cool things about the randomizer. Really can stretch, um, our runners' game knowledge for dealing with weird situations like this. It's one reason why the draft racing got very popular.
Oh, nobody wore likes walking across the world screen quite a bit. Not the closest airship parking I've seen.
Yeah, Airship is a surprisingly deep skill to learn when running, being very quick and laning quickly, but not, wasting too much time if you miss your spot. Sometimes laning a few squares away just ends up being quicker than trying to, move your way around to get back into position.
Oh, I like Sid. He's going for the ooh and finds behemoth suits. I always check the vector shops. First time I checked the vector shop, I found a Minerva and an Illumina, and now I've checked them ever since. Don't always pay that well, but I do like seeing a runner running in and checking vector. It's a very forgotten shop, I would say.
It's one I do sometimes. I mean, if you're already going to Zen to Outbrook, it ends up being an extra 30 seconds or so to pop in, at least check the weapon shop, if not both.
I usually
very
only do it if I'm doing Magitech, to be honest.
Well, that's the other thing to consider. With one character, and that character being Gal, our seed is very linear to begin with. Kefka and Arch is not even a factor because you can't split the parties, so you pretty much have to find dried meat and do Serpent Stretch. That's pretty much all our runners can do at this point. So probably not going to see a lot of divergence. We already see Nobody War trying to
Not
take
for
a
a
fight
while.
on the Velt, but at this point they're running around, grab as much as they can, and hopefully can get another character or two and really kind of open the seat up a bit.
And we get Mog. This is gonna be a very lineal seed, for
The
sure.
opposite of opening it up.
That helps a little bit. I mean, getting the second character gives you the Mog check and lets you do Kefka Narsh, so there's 2 checks open to you by grabbing Mog, but he only has the 1 check, so he will for sure give him their next character, so we'll see. Hopefully they don't get a Gogo or another 1 check character, but
Well,
we'll have to see.
as our tracker, the Swans pointed out in chat, it actually is not their only check. So we have YNPC remove on, which allows
Oh,
for a
that's
little bit
true.
of sequence breaking. I always forget too. I've run scenes where it's on and I literally never use it, but that is important knowledge. You can go and do Edgar's checks very easily. You can
Yep,
do
2 of
Mount
Edgar's
Zozo.
checks. Zozo World of Ruin. You won't get the reward if you do the World of Balance one
That's
without
right.
Terra.
No. Though if you
Match
have
Tech
Terra,
Factory is also open. There's 3 checks there.
that's right.
What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say if you have Terra for War Balance Zozo, you can skip the boss and still get the check, which is something people forget sometimes when running with YNPC remove. So there are a few options available. So far, all of our runners are going the Gal route, but at this point, I would even consider doing Edgar's checks. I mean, you got 3. Well, I guess you got 2 because you can't do the throne
Yeah,
itself.
you can't do the throne. I hate doing that check this early though, because I mean, it's no burning house or opera house, but it's kind of a jog. It takes a while to get to that first boss, and if it's someone you can't beat, that's a pretty big time sink.
It's
So I
true.
usually wait to do that until I'm prepared, a little more so than these guys maybe are.
I think doing Serpent's Trench early here makes sense to get those levels.
Oh, for sure, I would do that.
Scaling's only 2. If scaling was 3, I'd be worried about taking the Mog check in case scaling got a little too far away. And I might think about doing the Edgar check first. The advantage of saving the Edgar check to later is that the later you are, the easier the dragon is to take down. And that's where the Edgar checks really start being worth its weight in gold, is you can kill that dragon while you're down there. It starts making that trip much more worthwhile.
Absolutely. And depending on the flag, so normally I like the dragons in this are
They are scaled.
dragons are scaled. So I like to at level 3 go fight a dragon, except these are hit points and magic points are checks times 2.5, so that is a little bit higher, and you don't want to fight a dragon if he's got. But with the throw command, you might be able to just go kill a quick dragon and get some good experience right off the bat.
Maybe not this quick. I think you probably want to be a tiny bit more, but I mean, yeah, if we can get Mog up a little bit, I think it's definitely possible. I think it's something that could really slingshot you. I think that actually might be a good play, is taking out an early dragon like that.
Get ahead of scaling. Yep, since scaling's all done by checks, the dragon experience helps you get a little bit ahead of that. So Dusk Lamond, interesting, is going for the Curse Shield, which he had to fight 3 or 4 fights on the Veld, and now here's another 4 fights in Serpent Trench. It might not be a bad strat, as that's quite a few fights right off the bat.
It is true, especially considering the fact we have to fight 3 dragons, and we have, outside the dragons, 18 total checks, with starting with 1 character. There's a lot more fights than you would do on a normal seed. 14 is a lot for... Like, it is very possible to get the Kefka Tower and not have done 14 fights, depending on how your seed goes. So it's definitely possible.
But in this one, more likely than not, you'll have that many. Especially now that we see, he didn't know this, but Nobody War just picked up Shadow. And again, if you're looking for extra fights, more experience, doing Floating Continent with Shadow would probably get you through that Curse Shield.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, the downside with rocking the Curse Shield for this long is it has horrible stats. Like, you're just going to be glass.
It lowers your stats, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're throwing Excaliburs and Sky Renders this early, does it really matter? Exactly. Yeah.
So
of course, do you need the Paladin Shield so bad also in a seed like this where you're buying Minervas and Behemoth suits for free? I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say no to a Paladin Shield. And Green Monkey gets Gal Zombie. That's not what you want to see in the server shift.
Not good.
Yeah, you can't maybe heal up. I don't know if he picked up any Revivifies, but he's attempting to Phoenix down his way through this fight. That's not going to work on the Orc, though. Orog,
No,
however you
that is
say
a
that.
name. That's a fight you know about of for sure.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully,
he does. So good.
I think he still has one more random fight though before he gets out. Maybe. Yeah, he has at
Oh, for
least
sure.
one
Oh, but
more.
it's there. No, he's good because he'll just take the cave.
No, one more before the
Oh
cave.
no, I thought he was gonna get to the cave before this fight. Oh, and it's another one of these.
But with a preemptive,
Oh, but he has revivifies. Why does he not revivify Gal?
yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
And that's not going to work on the Orog. Oh
Oh, it
no, it
does.
is. I Okay. Learn something new. I thought that
Oh, he
that
might
he
be
was.
okay. And what
Yeah.
happens to Nobody War? He's back in.
I think he's on the He's on the check menu. He's not
Oh,
at the
that's
start
just the
menu.
track.
Yeah, the
Okay,
track
I
menu.
thought it was back to the beginning. I didn't know track had changed like that. I'm learning stuff
Yeah,
all the time.
that's one of the cool things about 1.0. It doesn't come up a lot with speedrunning, but the tracker now shows everything, all the flags. It shows details of all the objectives,
Very cool.
so you can always check it. You don't have to pull up another website and recheck your flags. Runners probably won't use it too often because it is obviously slower, but it is very helpful, especially for quick checks like this.
So Green Monkey was just playing it safe. He used the Revivify and the Orog before it could zombie his Mog, and then he healed his Gal and finished the fight. So
Good.
that makes sense. I see what
Very,
he's doing now.
very smart play. It can be very hard with
hmm
speedrunning to know the intricacies of every random monster because there's a lot in the game, and so having that knowledge, be able to pull it out, is great. It's always good to know which random enemies are undead though for these early levels. Be able to revivify your way out of level 3 can really open a seat up a lot of times. Um, but we go
Everybody back to finding as many shops as they can fit into their runs.
right, and looks like we got a Setzer on Nobody's War screen at Gal's dad's house, and he's doing his floating continent. So we're already getting a little route divergence. Surprisingly, we were able to get a few characters kind of early and open this up a little bit.
I do find it interesting that he goes to Floating Continent. If you're doing it, now would be the time to do it. Get those extra levels from those extra fights, get that gold so you can maybe buy the Zen Thief reward, whatever that was, or maybe go to even the auction house, depending on how much money you do get from these fights. It's not really a check I seek out or do early, as I don't feel like it's fast in any way. I mean, it is 3 checks. Oh, and it starts him
Ooh.
off with Doom. But he can be throwing Excaliburs, which he does. Okay, cool.
He only has 15 of them, quote unquote, only.
Yeah, that's all. Hopefully that'll be enough for him.
But
At 1600 damage at this level is fantastic.
the advantage of doing this early, though, is that the experience you're getting will snowball you up, right? If you did this check 15 minutes from now, it would be a big of a time sink. But be able to do it when you get these characters, and you want to be able to get a few levels in the characters you just picked up, this becomes a little more valuable early on to do. I still don't know if it's what I would do. I would probably do the Setzer checks immediately and just knock those 3 out. But I think there's a lot of validity behind doing this.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know which is the best call, but they're both interesting. I probably would do the Setzer checks as well, but you're going to take on this Doom who is going to give him a ton of experience, so it could be the way to go. Dusk Lamond is right behind Nobody War doing the same check, so
Yep.
he did not go get Setzer first, though.
Yeah, but Dustamon has the advantage of using the curse shield, right? So he's getting battles in, like you said earlier, and that's really going to pay out dividends. Hopefully he'll get this Paladin shield earlier rather than later.
So another fun fact, I know this is Dusk's first time because he's actually my little brother.
Oh,
12 years younger than me, so.
that's fun. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mostly he doesn't race anywhere near as much as I do. Pretty much I just convince him to race with me on occasion, so. But he's a good racer. He's beaten me a couple times, so.
Well, he's definitely holding his own. He's making some solid decisions. I haven't seen anything weird with his movement or anything. So he's definitely doing well so far. But of course, it's too early to tell with any of our runners. Where it's going to end up, especially with only 2 going to Floating Continent, and the others kind of doing other things. And Sid actually not having any other characters besides Gal at the moment.
Yeah, very interesting. Maybe he's just been shopping the whole time. I don't know. I haven't seen. Maybe he
Yeah.
didn't find the dried meat that everybody else found. That's the worst when you're on a dried meat hunt for 10 minutes, going to all the shops and not finding it. That can be very frustrating.
Oh,
Oh,
and
and he
he
still has no money.
because he hasn't taken any battles yet, and you can't sell anything. So,
He's got plenty to throw, though. I think he'll figure it out. Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see kind of how the extra equipment helps Sid, given the fact that he is rather behind in checks to everyone else. Meanwhile, Green Monkey is taking some grind fights in Narsh, which you do have your free heal with. Though I don't know why you would do that when you have Shadow. So it'd be kind
Yeah,
of curious
plenty
what
of
he's.
checks that you could do it with as well.
Yeah,
Seem to be pretty decent fights, though. That 2,500 experience is pretty good, so.
yeah. I mean, seeing Malboros when you have Throw can, especially if Fire Schemes, can gives you a lot of experience very quickly.
Oh, he's doing his check. He's just taking a few fights while he does the lock checks. That makes sense.
Oh, is your
I often do that too. I mean, in this seed, it is an interesting choice, but I'll normally take off my Moogle charm as I run through World of Ruin Narsh doing those checks, because there's the quick heal there, so there's not too much risk.
It's not quite fixing counters, but it's the same reason why I like taking fights in Top Figaro Basement, right? You're already there, you're already
Mm-hmm.
moving through it. You might as well take a fight or two early on, especially with that free heal. It's definitely not a bad plan. And with progress times too, getting ahead level wise will just really snowball the rest. But you do have to make sure you don't grind too much because there is diminishing returns on that at some point.
So Dusk almost. I mean, he triggered the the chest. What are they? The monster in the box. But then decided no, he didn't want to do that. Maybe he thinks those are empty. I don't believe the monsters in the box are empty as like the other chests. They typically are still shuffled.
I don't think you can remove them actually.
Oh, well, you can either make them vanilla or shuffle
Or
them, I
shuffle.
believe.
Right, but and they
Oh.
are not shuffled actually, so they are vanilla monster in boxes.
Oh,
So
okay. So I wouldn't fight that one either. The only one I would probably do is the offering one, unless I just don't know where the Gigantos one is, to be honest.
it's in Floating Continent. Though there are two in Floating Continent, but I believe it's the one right at the beginning is Gigantic.
Oh, so yeah. Knowing that, I would do it for sure.
Yes, especially this
But
early, taking Gigantos. But Monster in Box not being shuffled doesn't come up that often, and we did get the flags kind of last minute. So I would be surprised if our runners were paying attention to that flag over some of the
that
more
is
important
true.
ones. But that does make Ancient Castle a lot more interesting. Having Y removed and Monster Box not shuffled means you pretty much know that you can always grab a offering, and we know that we can buy 80 million Atma weapons for free, which can really open up some of our characters. Though no one can equip it vanilla, and so I don't know yet if any of them can equip it at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't seen. That would be interesting. So.
And we have Nobody War making his escape out of Floating Continent. I did not see if he picked up a Esper from that tunnel armor check or not.
I missed that as well.
It looks like he did. Yes, there is an Esper there, so we'll see in a minute whether he gets another character or an Esper. I think our
Floating Continent's surprisingly popular. I thought again we would see some divergence with Shadow showing up, but so far we've got three people all doing Floating Continent at the same time.
Yeah, because
various stages.
You would think that Setzer going to World of Ruin and doing Cave of the Veld, could be a possibility as well. And we run to Penumbra. Not always the best you want to see early, especially if you don't have a lot of lightning protection.
Right. He's a very dangerous boss. They do have the damage, and he is weak against fire, not as much as poison, but looks like they're doing some... Nobody War's doing some pretty good damage to him. I'm interested to see if Dusk fights him as well, but they do have YNPC removed, so if they want, he could just run right past the boss and ignore it. Of course, you usually go to Floating Continent for the experience, so you'd want to fight the bosses. But if you've gotten enough, if you feel like you're ahead, you wouldn't have to fight him.
I did not know you could do that with the boss here, that you could just skip him. I guess it makes perfect sense. He is a sprite.
Yep, you
on
can YNPC this one, and then Zozo, the World of Balance boss, you can as well.
Yeah, and luckily you got through, but this early on, Penumbra can kind of be a race
Oh, and
with damage.
Green Monkey having a problem with Doom. He has, is that 3 or 4 of his characters are frozen. I think Shadow
It's
might have been in the air,
I
and
think
a flash
Shadow's
rain is gonna
fine.
hurt.
It's hard to tell because we put on custom palettes, and all the custom palettes
Yeah.
are very dark, which makes telling whether they're frozen or not very difficult at the moment. But I
Well,
think Shadow's
Shadow's
great.
he's a light purpley blue anyway, so.
Well,
And
now
now
he's
he's
frozen.
frozen as well. Oh, Green Monkey, that is some Green Monkey luck for you.
I've definitely had some choice words for Doom on my stream before when I've gotten hit with a 3 or 4 times frozen. It's bad luck. He's spamming it and getting, that's just, it's rough. And I think it takes almost a minute for someone to come on frozen on their own volition.
And Sid going up to Kulingen, getting the free reward there, and it is a Valiant Knife. So yeah, maybe we do run to Ancient Castle now and get the Setzer and Gao can equip it.
Yeah, it's gonna be curious if our runners remember that that is an option. They could just be waiting to have a little more offense so they could double dip with that dragon and feel comfortable even with scaling that they can take him out. But I think we're gonna see with Sid knock out all 3 Cester checks. Based on his whipping, I assume he's doing the airship check right now.
And Dusk, a big fan of the jumping, as we can see. 2 characters with horns.
I mean, when they're just gonna give it to you, you might as well use them.
Might as well use them, absolutely. I'm a big fan of it, especially with fixed dice jumping or Aura Lance, or if you can get the imp strats off, it can be a pretty quick way of doing some damage. So, especially if your third character, like his plan, is supposed to have a paladin shield, so while everybody else is up in the air, your paladin shield keeps you alive.
Meanwhile, Nobly were checking up at Mog, and this is a kind of interesting play because now that you got Cyan, you can easily do Kefka at Narsh and not be down a character. Cyan gives you a whole bunch of easy checks. Obviously, Mount Zozo was already in play, but I like Cyan's checks a lot. I think that they're overall very
They're
good.
probably my favorite.
I would put Sabin slightly above it, but it's very, very close between the two.
But it is close. The Dream is my favorite of all race, or check. And between you get 5 checks out of Cyan as you do with Sabin, and Sabin has a few checks I don't like, and I like all of Cyan's, but they're both really good for checks, for sure.
Dome Castle is great because even if it's horrible, it's low risk, right? You lose very little time going in there. And he is doing Kefka at Narsh, which, I would do here too. You need 12 Espers. It's not a character. If it was a character, I would probably put it off because, you'll probably find a 6-1 somewhere else, but you kind of take every Esper you can here because you don't want to be searching and finding a bunch of dead checks later when you need Esper 11 and 12.
Exactly. And he throws Mog onto the off party, so maybe he's switching up his characters and using this as a time to unequip and re-equip. That's the strategy I saw someone else do and instantly incorporated it into my runs. So you don't have to do that menuing in the on the airship.
Yeah, that's very smart, especially if you don't care about the experience as much. Be able to kind of do that can be very good. I did not see what ability Cyan had though.
I didn't see it, I just saw that he couldn't equip any of the armor he owned, so. Oh, and he backs out of the quick skip.
Interesting. I don't know what the backup plan is for the skip, but I assume it's something that doesn't cause you to fight 3, like you would if you messed up the skip. But there you go. Takes a little bit longer, but this way you're only fighting 1.
But not too much.
No. It probably takes less time than fighting those 2 fights.
Yeah, well, and if you get them at the wrong time, you kill them, and then they reappear, and then another guy runs into you and dies, and then reappears. I mean, I've had that end up giving me, 5 different fights.
Whereas we see Sid head down to the crypt, and we are going to be fighting Magic Master Jr. for tomorrow. So, not the best character to see. You're not going to your party. It's going to be just 1 check. It gets you one step closer, but if you're Sid, you wanted to see probably anyone else.
Here, Green Monkey is using his Gao to cast Bahamut instead of throwing something at him. Interesting play. If that, oh yeah, that does quite a bit of damage, so that's good. going for the Gigantos fight for a lot of experience. Maybe he actually read the flags. He's known to do that. I call that cheating, but
Or he just got very lucky and was looking for an offering anyway, and maybe that clued him in on that this might not be shuffle bosses.
very, very likely.
Whereas Nobody War is still fighting Vargas. Vargas not a particularly tough boss, but due to how the story mechanics of him works, he actually does have a surprising amount of
He has
HP.
a ton of hit points, absolutely.
Uh,
And Dusk just right behind Nobody War, following along with his checks.
Yep.
Oh, and here we go. Sid's doing the play you were thinking of and going and doing the Edgar checks. That'll be interesting.
That will be
Using
interesting.
YNPC removed to get through that guy, so.
And he, should be strong enough to deal with the dragons, and we'll see if he goes for the offering too, whether he saw that in the flags or not. I think that could really, make this interesting. And it is not a character, which at this point, I think all of our runners basically don't want to see characters. The odds of them finding an extra character or two, whether for the 12 espers, are pretty high. So,
Pretty high, yeah.
Maybe not for the Edgar check because it leads into another check, but if I'm doing some like Realms Esper mounting check and I see a character at this point when I need 11 espers and only one more character, I'll bounce out. Like, there's no sense of grabbing that guy because all you do is risk ending up with extra characters to increase your scaling.
Yeah, if I don't need any characters and I need a lot of espers, Edgar's checks are some of the checks I actually avoid because all 3 of his checks have potential of being a character.
That is true. Whereas something like Floating Continent or Magitech or Science Dream.
Or Science Dream.
Yeah, you're only guaranteed one character from all of them. So the other 2 checks are going to be an Esper or a Dead check.
Right. And all 3 of them could still be, like with the Dream, all 3 could be Magicite.
And I'm actually checking to see if free progressive's on. I believe it's not, right?
They got the character right from the dad, so that would mean
Oh, you're right.
dad,
Yes.
which would mean there would not be, or there is free progression.
And Sid running into Poltergeist down in the basement.
And
definitely
this
has
is why I don't like doing that check because it took him several minutes to get there.
Yeah, but I think everyone has the offense. I mean, if Nobody Worm and Green Monkey and Dust got through Doom, I think Sid can probably get through Poltergeist.
I definitely agree.
The Blaster is a little annoying, but I don't think it's anything that he can't get by. And Nobody Worm doing Mount Zozo. So we'll see if he goes after the dragon. We do need 3 dragons in order to get into Kefka's tower. So on top of giving experience, they are required for the seed.
I don't think you'd do that check if you weren't intending to do the dragon. I would put off those checks until I was strong enough to do the dragon with them. So,
especially with
and getting
chests.
a stop on Gao up on Poltergeist. That is his main damage dealer, so that is a little annoying.
That is very annoying. I believe stop can only be removed by spell, a spell that you do not see very often. And you just gotta kind of wait it out, or actually
get blasted. That's helpful.
It actually is helpful. You can revive Gal, and that's quicker than waiting for the stop to go away.
Absolutely.
And while we're kind of waiting for our runners to get through everything, wait, hold on a second. Is Nobody War fighting Dullahan instead of a dragon?
Oh, are they mixed in? Is this a dragon hunt? This is something we should have known, Seto. That is interesting.
Yeah, mixed boss and dragons set to true. So.
Oh, so it's a dragon hunt. So you definitely take that fight that I was saying you could skip up at the top of Floating Continent. You definitely take that, because if it's a dragon and you missed it, you were going to be behind a lot.
I know. So. This actually changes everything. This is, of course, one of the problems with these mystery seeds or pseudo mystery seeds, since our runners did not get a lot of prep for them, that even us commentators aren't fully aware of all that. Sometimes we get these lists of flags and there's dozens upon dozens of them, and some of them are relatively minor and others are very major, like this, that change everything, and they're all just one line in a text file. And this changes it completely because they have to hunt for dragons, and they change what checks you want to do. You want to be doing ones that involve fighting more bosses. Some like Magic Tech looks a little bit better now when you have to go find
Oh,
three
yes,
dragons.
absolutely. The third check of Magitech Factory suddenly is one of the best. I swear that always has a dragon in every dragon hunt I've ever played, so
It also makes this happened in a tournament prelim I did once. It makes Toilet Atma a little more interesting because if you have two dragons
sure.
and you don't want to waste time, you could potentially go in the Kefka Tower and between the two dragon fights and Toilet Atma, you might find your third dragon. Yeah, it really changes things. I'm not a fan of mixed dragons because I feel like it can be a little too
Neither am I.
random, but
Mhm.
there is some interesting strategy to help mitigate some of that randomness a little bit.
Oh, and Dusk is going to Magitech. I think that's a good call. He did not check the vector shops though, so apparently I didn't raise him right. So
I'm curious. We have to ask Dusk afterwards whether he knows dragons are mixed, because if he doesn't, he eventually got lucky here to be able to do a check that involves four bosses. But if he does, it's very smart of him to realize this check has a lot more going for it than normal.
absolutely.
And nobody more finds Gogo in Mount Zozo.
Oh,
There's no way.
Shadow. Oh, but that's helpful for Sid because he has the Valiant Knife equipped on Setzer. Valiant Knife does more damage the fewer hit points you have, so his Confused Shadow just threw some rocks at Setzer. But
And
he's through the fight anyway, so.
yeah, and that lasted a bit, but we'll see what he kind of gets out of it. We know it's not a character here, and you will have access to a dragon, or a dragon spawn, I should say, but at this point, doing more boss fights than less is, what all our runners need to do.
And I'm just checking, making sure Dusk is fighting the ghost train. Is that necessary? I did not see if Undead...
Undead is turned off, so,
Okay,
yeah.
so he does need to fight it, he knows that.
Or
Problem is,
we're all
he's
used to
fighting it without first getting a blitz person, so...
He should obviously reset, back out, come back later.
Reset. Try again, absolutely.
So,
Except we don't need to do that now, because if he finds one, he can, with 1.0, one of the really cool changes is you can always find a ghost train in the ghost forest. So
that's right. You can always go back and refight it, even if you went through the train to begin with. So you can't be locked out of that objective if it's set for a seed. Nobody War has an interesting setup here that might cause a bit of a difference than other people. He found Gogo in Mount Zozo, and Gogo typically is not the best character out there, but
that suck.
yeah, but he starts becoming a lot more useful if you have someone with Throw, because Throw is a good enough ability that it can kind of mitigate the bad stats, and when you don't have to pay anything for any weapons or items, suddenly Gogo becomes a lot more interesting of a fourth character.
Yeah, I like Gogo if you have Throw, or say if Bum Rush isn't last, then you have a Blitz character. He suddenly becomes, or if there's plentiful rods,
yes, or shields.
Suddenly he becomes one of the best characters you can find. Where in almost every other seed, you are disappointed if you see him.
Exactly.
And Sid takes off his, he doesn't have a Moogle Charm on, just taking random fights in the ancient castle. That's interesting.
I wonder if he switched someone out, because he is on 5.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. It happens to all of us. You actually switch out your Moogle Charm user.
You switch out the guy you like the least, who's always carrying your Moogle Charm.
Right, because he's going to have the least amount of relics on them. It makes perfect sense. We've all done it. But I imagine that's what happened to him. And yeah, we can see him go back to the menu. Yeah. This has been an interesting race so far. I'd be curious to ask our runners how much they had to learn on the fly, as you and I have had to learn on the fly.
Yeah, fair. We've had to I had more time to read the flags than I took, and I apologize for that. I was busy worrying about other things at the time, so.
And Sid taking the Katana Soul fight, and whether, I don't know, again, whether he knew about it or not, but definitely good with the Valiant Knives and Atma weapons we've seen flying around, and Sid in particular having more equipment than other people, this could really change how some endgame offense is going.
Yes, is already using the Valiant Knife on Setzer, so he very much wants this offering.
And nobody will except Yamaro, giving him one more character more than needed. Like I
I
said
wonder if
before,
he did that because it's peekable, but it's after you've already ran through the whole thing and he elected to fight it. I don't know if that was for levels or if he just likes Umaro's checks. I don't mind doing Umaro's checks because you can string it together with Tritalk.
yeah.
So if you get Terra or something and go, because in the World of Ruin you can go in to do whatever you missed with Locke's other check with Terra, like you can string quite a bit together and make it worth it.
It also could be that you're already fighting the boss, right? So you let the boss load. If you think it's an easy boss, which number 24 is, it actually might not be worth the time to hit the reset button and load your save back up. The time difference ends up not being that great that it might not be worth doing.
Especially losing that experience that you could get from an easy kill. Agreed.
Right. But on the flip side, you're upping progress. Times 3, I think about not doing it. Times 2, I probably won't care. And nobody were doing Cyan's Dream, showing off something that we're all gonna have to get used to, which is it is finally
Going
fixed.
through the left door first.
Yeah, you have to get both Stooges now. I know I will mess this up more than once and be very mad each time I do it.
For sure. I've done it. I've done it a couple times, and I remembered both times, and it worked out all right. Oh, finding his first dragon. That is huge.
Yeah, and has to feel relief with that. You know, the dragon hunt becomes, I mean, literally a crapshoot. Like it really just depends on what checks you do. You have to feel relieved when you find even one of them because it really puts a huge advantage that other racers might not have. Especially now that we've had so many characters, the scene has really opened up, and people are going all different directions now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the dragon hunt, but in this seed it is only for 3, and they have to fight so many bosses anyway that I mean you should be able to just find your 3 dragons doing your normal checks. And if that's the case, then it's fine. Then it won't be too painful. It won't be too random.
I like commentating matches involving dragon hunts a lot more than I do playing.
A lot more than actually playing them.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't hate them as bad because a lot of the races that I've won, including like one of the Seed of the Weeks, was a dragon hunt. So I feel like I need to not complain about them so much, even though I despise them.
Did taking the dragon fight in Ancient Castle and running into Welk, showing off one of the few disadvantages of the offering, which is you can't aim it. So you had that great Valiant Knife, and then had a monster where half the targets he was hitting randomly weren't doing anything.
Or he just hits the short arm at Kefka 4 times and leaves you with a quake.
Yep.
I've definitely had that before.
He does, however, pick up both a Genji Glove and a Ragnarok, and that Genji Glove combined with the offering, combined with as many Atmos weapons as you want, suddenly can turn someone into a late game, hoss at this point. Or just equipping 2 and having the offering on the Valiant Knife. There's a lot of combinations that Sid can do. I think we'll see a pretty quick endgame from him, hopefully.
And Dusk is doing the strategy I talked about in my last game, where I had 1 Paladin Shield person on the ground and 3 Dragonhorn jumpers up in the air. So, oh, and there's Nobody War finding yet another character with Strago, nobody's favorite character.
So the question here is, if you're Nobody War and you see that, I mean, I guess you can't bail out because you want the dragon, right?
Yeah, he already has the dragon. There's no way you could bail after that.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't see what the reward was, but you gotta hate getting yet another character that you don't need, especially one with probably the worst checks in the game. I'd rather have you Mario and Mog's 1 check than Strago's 3, honestly.
His stats are nearly as bad as Gogo's too. He just has slightly more magic power, but that's it.
Yeah, and I always hate starting with them because it means that it could come down to who wins a race. Depends on what bad Strago check they do first, and they all are not fun to do.
They're not good, yeah. The Green Monkey finding a dragon, interesting.
Where is he at? He's in some cave.
I think he's in the. I thought he was in the ancient cave. Is it Vanilla Gold? No, because that would be a castle
It would
background.
be a castle background.
Unless he's dancing.
He might have danced actually.
Doesn't look so. Shadow jumped.
Yeah, we have seen a few dancing going on here. Oh, it's Yeti Cave is what chat is telling us.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I had that up and I haven't been looking at the chat. I do apologize. I usually try to keep up with that. Hefe is on there. I love Dragon Hunts. We know Hefe. We know.
It's interesting. We've seen a few runners use dance, something that I always try to avoid, and I kind of wonder how it's going for our runners when they have this much offense, because I kind of feel like it's a waste of animation time in a lot of cases. I've seen a few snares kind of fly around. And,
I've seen that too and wondered the same thing. And then we got another dragon. That one was in Edgar's check, correct?
No, this dragon is in the end of Cyan's dreams. That means there's two
Oh,
dragons.
two dragons in the dream. Nobody wore. I mean, he's already in a pretty good position on checks, and now with two dragons, I don't know. That's some pretty good pathing. It looks like.
I think this is gonna be very interesting because Dusk is the only one who also has found Cyan, because Cyan is up at Mog's check, and now that we have a bunch more characters, the odds of Green Monkey and Sid going all the way up to do a Mog and Kefka and Arch check, two checks that are very long to do, really diminish. And it could be that neither end up with Cyan and they miss these two easy dragons that Nobody War was able to very elegantly route in.
Absolutely, that may be the key to this seed, which will be really interesting. So, I try to avoid Kefka and Arch as much as possible, and it has definitely burned me on similar seeds. So,
I've actually recently been doing a bit more because it's burned me so much that just trying to try something different, and obviously rando's gonna rando. There's no there's confirmation bias whether it works or not, but it is sometimes good, especially with races, to throw a Hail Mary into a Kefka and Narsh, because sometimes it can just come down to what path you take, and trying something different really could be the edge in a race, especially if you feel like the other person might have a little advantage over you anyway.
Yeah, it's when playing with racers that are more experienced, I'll often throw in a check that I don't think they'll do, like Elite River or something like that, and hope for something to give me an edge. Usually it just means I'm doing a longer check and even furthering the gap between us, but there's always that chance, so which I do need. And Hefe pointing out, no dragons in Floating Continent or Magitech. So everybody's going for the checks with the most bosses is generally a good strategy, but not working this seed.
Right, and it's actually working very well for Nobody War, who should be going to Umaro after this Tritalk check, and going to be finding his third and last dragon, which lets him just really blitz through and only focus on Espers at that point. He doesn't need a boss hunt as much as our other racers need to.
Andrew Racho, talking Strago, I assume, is the best stat is that he has likelihood to have candy on him. That's fantastic. It's about the only thing he's good at, let's be honest. So, I mean, if you can get lore on him with Grand Train and a magic power, Magicite, blah blah blah, sure, you can make him useful, but
even at that point,
I would rather do that with anybody else. So.
Well, I'd rather have a level 3 magic on him, because Grain Train splits damage and is longer than like a Fire 3, and it does a little bit more damage, but I'd rather just have like a Fire 3 on him at that point.
That's true, yeah. I usually prefer the Grand Train just for the elemental, non-elemental penetration, so you can use it on pretty much anybody. Tritalk even, it does damage on, so.
That's true. I think if you have a seed where you're really dependent on Grand Train, there's other things that have gone really wrong for you.
I've had it pretty good where you start with that and an economizer, and it will get you through all the early bosses. Maybe not the best for endgame because of the split damage, like you said, but to get you through the early part of the seed, I'd say it's as good or better than Shock.
Definitely, if you have an economizer or even a gold hair blend, but the high magic cost means that even if you start with it, you don't have one of those.
You're not using it more than one time a fight, which sometimes that's all you need to kill some of the early bosses. So.
Exactly. And we see Green Monkey going down doing Edgar's checks. He did pick Edgar up in Yamaro's cave. I don't know if he elected to wait on these checks to get Edgar in order to get the third one. So we'll be able to see what's on Figueroa's throne in a minute. But at this point, we're kind of seeing all our runners retread routes everyone else has already ran at this point, which is pretty typical for the middle of seeds for World Slide races.
What is also really funny is JS 8271986. Best thing about Strago is burning house. That is an incorrect statement. I just want everybody to be aware of that.
I mean, honestly, if it's three checks, I would put Evans Rock as probably the best of the three. And even that, of course, is completely random of how long it takes you.
FFS, I just wanted to comment. Strago is the only blue magic user. Yeah, that's true, but in this randomizer, anybody can have that
Well,
ability, so
and
making it a
blue
little bit different.
and blue magic in vanilla game is a lot weaker than in most games due to how late you get Strago and what blue magic is available to him. He's also the only character in vanilla that requires a second character to get in World of Ruin. Everyone else only needs one. Or they don't need any prereq characters, and Strago needs Realm, so you usually go through two dungeons to get him. His blue magic is not particularly great compared to like FF5 or FF7 or something.
Absolutely. So let's take a moment again. Just this is Worlds Collide randomizer for Final Fantasy VI. Go to FF6WC.com to generate the seed. Start playing with us. You'll need a Final Fantasy III USA ROM to create a seed. But join us in the Discord. Nightbot just plug in that information. Plug in our streamers. Follow all of our streamers. Follow our it's me, Hash, and Seto Kiaba on the comms. The Schwantz jumped in last minute to do tracking to help make sure that this happened, so very grateful to him. Follow him as well as Classy Badger, who apparently was a big part of the community before I joined it and is now coming back to it, so follow him, show him some love as well.
Yeah, and I want to give a special shout out to Classy. This is his first time restreaming. It's definitely a pretty non-glamorous role that requires a lot of work, and your first time can be very overwhelming. So this has gone off very well, and very little hiccups. So just want to give him a shout out for doing a great job there.
Yep, it's the restreamers really that make these things happen. And I am always very grateful because I love this community. A bunch of great people, very helpful, very fun. So thanks to them for making it happen.
Yeah, and so if this is interesting, you should totally join our Discord. 1.0 just released a few weeks ago, so there's a lot of new exciting changes and a lot of the community trying to figure out where Worlds Collide is going to go and what are we going to do with a lot of these cool features. So if you like what you see and you have some input, please join the Discord and start discussing.
Yeah, with the 1.0, I mean, really, Atmatech, the creator of this randomizer, really just gave us the ability to make it what we want, right? We can run the old seeds that we used to run. You can change it drastically and make it very thematic, or you can make people set a clock that they have to talk to a million NPCs to find out what to do. So, very cool things.
Yeah, it's gonna open up a lot of cool, interesting seeds at this point. And Dusk going to Science Dream, though, I think he might have forgot you have to go get the second kid, and it's doubling back for him now.
Oh shoot, yeah, he has not played a lot of 1.0, I'll tell you that, so...
This might be a learning experience. I think he knows, and he's just trying to remember what floor to go in. And Green Monkey also doing the Katana Soul fight about a minute ago, picked up its offering. So, again, really going to open up a lot of interesting combinations for him that Sid and Dusk have not quite found yet.
But Dusk knowing the dream is the key to the seed, so good for him. Getting his 2 dragons.
Always do dream. Very worst case, if you need Espers, you get an early peak, after only one boss too. So bailing out of it's not the worst thing in the world either.
And as the Schwantz points out here, nobody war getting his 3rd dragon, so he will be done with that. He will just be searching for Magicite from here on out, so if he wants to, he can skip some bosses or so if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, Nobody War definitely looking like he has kind of a commanding lead here. Dragons aside, he is 2 checks more than Dusk and Green Monkey at the moment, and but really those dragons are the deciding factor. If Green Monkey does not go do Cyan's Dream, he might be searching around trying to get those last little bit before Kefka's Tower. It really remains to be seen, but Nobody War definitely in the best place to have a good pace to be in go mode.
There, Sid decides to follow along and do Floating Continent like everybody else did an hour ago. This is probably when I would have done Floating Continent. I mean, I think I like to do it as like a mid-game strat. I don't like going to it too early, so this is probably when I would have done it as well.
Yeah, going to it too early can be rough if you don't have enough healing before the first boss, or if you don't think you can take 2 bosses on. Even though you get healed before the second one, it can still be rough. But I think with the throw Gal start, I can see why our runners felt more comfortable doing that.
And it is on the throne. It is a Magicite, so it was a good thing to have Edgar when doing that check. So
yep,
Green Monkey was able to find that.
Nobody War now doing his Edgar checks. He did not do them earlier, so he will pick up, I believe, 2 Magicites from this, putting him at 8.
Brings him up pretty close. There's no skip or anything for finding too many characters, right?
No,
that's too bad, because Nobody War already at 9 characters of the 6 that he needs. Gives him more options for checks, right? So
yeah, that's the
way.
That is one advantage, and with progress times 2, it is not as painful as other races could be. I remember seeing, I forget who, but it was someone a little bit newer who was doing our Thursday night race, and he did not know that how progress worked. And we all joined his stream afterwards watching him, and he had something like 18 espers and 12 characters or something like that, and Kefka's Tower was very mean to him for obvious reasons. And he was comically upset and laughing when we told him that's how progress worked. It's a little
got a level
sometimes.
65 Air Force for a statue or something like that, or the best when it's a Great Behemoth and he casts Ultima on you and you're like, what? Or Goner, Fallen One, Ultima. Yep. And you're like, this is not what's supposed to happen here. I've got 2 characters. How do I get past this guy? Well, you let the progression get ahead of you, which you can never do. It's really a balance.
That is always something that's going through our runner's head is Kefka's Tower can be rather rough even if the main game is going pretty easy because your party is split. Like you might feel comfortable taking on a Magic Master when you have your full party at full strength, but if you have the wrong people in the wrong combination and there's a Magic Master on your path, it doesn't always go well.
And Nobody War, is he dancing?
He is.
Oh no, I would reset. Oh no.
I would too.
No, he didn't need to. Icy Chicken made that decision for him. That is not what you want to see. He must not have very much elemental or at least fire protection.
Yeah, but I think he does it again because, his remaining checks are Stragos and Gogo, both which are horrible, and I guess Doma Castle. And other than that, I think he's done almost, and Cave of the Bell. So he's done almost all the checks and still has 6 Espers left. So, I think you have to grind at this again.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, these are 3 checks right in a row. It's not something you really want to avoid, and he knows he can beat him. He probably just got some terrible RNG. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, and
some people fight Kefka, and he responds with Revenger, or just punches you, and then you go up and he double Havoc Wings you and Ultimas you.
Looking at Dust Screen, I actually have a question that maybe you've been keeping track of, but the siege has been going on for an hour, and we've seen a lot of fights as people have gone looking for dragons. Has Dusk actually got his curse shield count at this point? Does he have a
Oh, yeah.
paladin shield?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
I think he got that at Magitech. He
Oh wow, that
finished
was
it,
really early.
which yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, between Serpent Trench, then Floating Continent, and then Magitech, that's easily 14 fights. So,
That's true.
yeah, so he's had 3 jumpers with Dragon Horns, uh, while Gao just sits and throws stuff at him with behind a Paladin shield. So it's a pretty solid strat.
And starting with Gal, two of those three checks here in the beginning that he could do with Magic Tech and Gal and Surface Trench. So seeing that 14, suddenly becomes a lot more palpable at that point.
Hopefully he didn't hear us because he just went to his menu and showed us that Gao had a Paladin shield. So.
And Green Monkey running into Cranes. I didn't see what check he's at, but I'm wondering if it's Cave of the Belt based off of the background.
I missed that as well. I was looking at Steve going through fighting tunnel armor, so and nobody wore fighting poltergeist. Hopefully this goes better for him this time than it did last time.
Hopefully,
It's off to a better start.
Pretty much just has to do a just rush damage as quick as possible. Crane having a little bit more HP than I would think at this scaling. Not a hard boss, but he can surprise you sometimes. Or they can, I should say.
Yeah, the cranes, I mean, if they're casting Flare Star or some of the other higher level, depending on the elemental scaling, they can be pretty dangerous, but usually, like you said, lower hit points, so you can usually just get rid of them pretty quick. Oh, it looks like was it that?
Just gave it the belt.
Over the belt. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, it wasn't Evan's Rock.
No, because you spawn at the bottom of the house after Evan's Rock.
That's right. That's right.
But and Dusk doing Doma Castle World of Balance, so we're seeing a few new checks finally with our runners.
Wrecking that goddess. Gao
know.
dropping for 4,500 apiece. Did he put a gauntlet on him to do extra damage? I think he didn't have natural jump, so he just
No,
a
he does
Hornlet and Dragoon Boots, but
yeah. I wonder if
excellent
there's
damage.
like you look at the tracker. I wonder if there was some sort of strength
Plus
Esper.
2 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, it looks like
That would
just.
make sense.
Oh yeah, Bahamut has strength plus 2, and they grabbed that early. So I bet you just threw that on Mog.
There you go. He's probably just had that on Mog. Mog probably has over 100 vigor.
Yeah, and yeah, that'll do it. Strength is not always the best stat because it has a lot more diminishing turns than Magic. But if you can throw it on a strength plus 2 on a jumper at level 3, just roll with it, it will really pay dividends at the end.
Yeah, or a thrower. So a lot of those 5,000 damage throws are gonna tend to do your quad 9s if you have a high enough strength.
Exactly. Yeah, we're really seeing a lot of offense, a lot of variety with offense too. Because Dusk has, his Mog doing an absurd amount with jumping, but he has not done Ancient Castle yet, if I remember correctly. So he doesn't have access to the offering that Green Monkey and Nobody War has got.
He might not go with it since he's doing the Dragon Horn strats instead. But he also might not know that YNPC remove gets you into those checks because, again, he doesn't race as much as some of the other races here, so...
Some insider baseball knowledge there.
Yeah, exactly. Which, really, it's not hurting him, so...
Yeah, he's doing very well, and he's going to find his eighth Esper, and that actually is interesting, because we were saying earlier that Nobody War was really kind of pulling ahead, but looking at it now, I mean, Green Monkey has 2 more Espers than he does. Dusk is going to grab his 8th one in a second, and we know that going down Ancient Castle is going to be a dead check. The only thing that, Nobody War has is the locked-in 3 dragons, but really, this could go kind of anywhere.
But yeah, Green Monkey leading on Magicite if he just finds his dragon somewhere else, and Dusk is only 1 dragon behind and tied with him on Espers, but he's going to get one out of this, so very interesting.
And I believe Green Monkey's going up to do Mog and Kefka at Nourish, which means he's going to get Cyan, and that'll give him his last 2 dragons. And yeah, that's he's in well balanced, so that's going to be pretty big, getting those last 2 there. Hopefully he does the dream, but I think it's kind of a lock that's probably where he'll go.
Yeah, this really is anybody's race right now. I mean, Green Monkey might actually be a little bit ahead, you could say, because he's 2 Magicite up. Everybody else is at 7 Magicite, so it's a it's definitely a close race still. I say that, and then Dusk gets his 8th is immediately after. It's still a
Right.
close race, though.
It is very close. And I believe there was two Magicite at Science Dream and Strago, so uh, that means Green Monkey will be at 11 if he elects to go there. And with Doma Castle, I think that was also Magicite. So I think it's all there for him. Whereas with other runners, is a little more up in the air whether they can get enough with so few checks.
Very interesting. Dusk going to Burning House again. I guess I didn't raise him right.
Maybe he has those vanilla speedrunning strats where they're able to dodge all the fire very well.
So far, he has not.
Seems a little weird using fire schemes in the burning house, but I guess those
You
enemies don't
use
really
what
care.
works. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
And as Swans points out, the Zen Seed is a cheap Esper, and that's definitely true given the fact that you can't spend money on anything else, and they've taken a higher than average number of fights so far this seed. So that and auction house end up being pretty good because you're not going to be saving that money for anything else.
Yeah, these are some quick fights in Burning House too. That's given him some decent experience. So, I mean, I definitely had a race where the person I lost to, those who watched it credited to him winning because he went to Burning House and got the extra experience that I missed out on. So, I mean, it's a slow check for sure, but if you need the experience to get that higher level so that you can go through the rest of the seed faster, it can definitely be the right play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's getting an absurd amount with Leafers and Dark Winds being
No,
some
it's
of
not.
the weaker enemies in the game, but I'm a big proponent of more XP early. That it's why I almost always take Opera House Dragon, even though it's a minute time loss, because I think even late the EXP and potential item gain can help you get through Kefka's Tower, especially your party's not having full power going through the paths. Those few extra experience might be enough to take one extra hit between healing. That might be enough to put a boss away, right? Especially if the boss becomes a damage rush between you and uh, one of your more powerful characters. But overall, not a slow burning house at all. He got through it very quickly and
Oh, and
finds
it
his third
has a
dragon.
dragon. So there you go. Totally worth it. And maybe he thought that. He's like, oh, watch. I'll do Burning House and it'll have a dragon and nobody else will go there. And that'll be how I get ahead. I don't know if that's what he was thinking. It pays, it's paying out. So
Yeah, and especially because he did not go do Daryl's Tomb, which means he does not have Yamaro, which means he does not have the third dragon that nobody wore Green Monkey uh, has. So that ends up being a very fortunate play for him.
absolutely. Yeah, good call. High risk, high reward call. It's working out.
I think that's been one of the cooler things about this seed and this flag set is that Dragon Rush, like we mentioned, is not always the best setting. It can feel a little more RNG. But one, that makes it very interesting for us viewers. But two, like we are seeing some smart plays and some risk paying off very well. And even there's a little more variance. Like our runners are not just rolling random dice; they are making very educated choices, and they're paying dividends in a lot of cases. Like we're seeing a lot of good decision making.
It is rather an interesting seed because at the same breath, I think I said, "Oh, one character, it's super linear," and then it's like, "Oh, it's a dragon hunter. They can go whichever way you don't know." So
Right, but pick it up, Setzer and Shadow right at the beginning with YMPC remove that linearity very quickly. If one of those had been Esper, I think we would have seen a little more of a linear seed, but the seed decided to prove us wrong within about 15 or 20 minutes.
yeah, absolutely, it had the potential to do so, and then quickly did not. Although I still think our runners were more similar than I would have guessed them to be based on the checks. So. Welcome into the chat. We got WR Jones jumping in and Dalasa joining in. Welcome everybody. We got a super close race. It's a free shop, a very generous seed, but the rest of it has been We've had some interesting spots, some difficult fights, some spicy chickens. Green Monkey handling Goddess as quickly as Dusk did, making that a quick fight, although Setzer lost out on all the experience. He's
So
eating the pavement.
one thing I just looked up, and I heard rumblings about this, but I want to confirm the flag set, is that normalize and distort stats is set to true for this seed.
That is on. That is
Yeah.
interesting.
And the reason I bring that up is this seed has given us plenty of offense. We have throwers, we have all this jumping doing 4K a hit, we have as many Atma weapons as you want, and offerings and Valiant Knives, and that's all really good because the game is not going to be necessarily a cakewalk at the end like you would in a normal game with this equipment. It will still be, you know, hopefully easy for our runners or, you know, non-trivial. Um, but it's still going to be harder than and everything, which is going to make this very exciting to watch even up to the last minute. Anything can kind of go in Kefka's flat out Kefka, even with some of the tools our runners have.
And Green Monkey electing to pick up Celeste and put her right into the team, which is very interesting.
What does
It's
she
kind of
have on
late in
her?
the game to pick her up, but maybe he's been struggling with what people can equip. Celeste is one of the best characters for natural equipment in the game. Her and Terra equip almost anything and most of the best items. So I think he
Yeah,
has her with a Ragnarok currently.
yeah. I mean, you have the Ragnarok, you have the offering, you know where Atma weapons are. I would probably do the same thing. You know, I don't know how every character broke down, but if you feel like you have a weak link, you know, if you were running Gogo as throw and stuff like that, I would make the same call because you know they can equip those Ragnaroks and those Atma weapons. And you don't really probably care even what spells they have, right? You know, you don't need to worry about leveling any spells last minute with them outside maybe Fury.
Oh, and the Grand Train not doing much to Sid. They doing 400 damage, and then Atma Weapon following up with a Meteo. But Atma Weapon's being a little bit of a jerk. Looks like Dusk had to take a quick reset.
Well, he
Didn't
saw that
see
it
the
was
fight.
it was a
Oh,
he saw his number
when he saw it was
24.
Umaro, he
Yeah.
just noped out. That is a good play. Good job. He's already got 8 characters. He definitely doesn't need to do that.
Yes, though he is now doing Tritalk, so it was a little curious that he noped out of Yumaro, but then he's going almost all the way to Yumaro's check anyway.
I don't know how many options he has, so or maybe that just let him know. Oh, he hasn't done Edgar's checks, right? So oh, he has
Uh,
Celeste. He has tons of options.
well, he has less with Celeste because he's already done Magic Tech.
That's true.
And I believe he did Edgar's checks because he has the Ragnarok from Ancient Castle. So he hasn't done the throne check for Edgar, and he does have Opera House and the free San Francisco check with Celeste. So he has a few. I abbreviated it so much as SF in my note that I just started calling it San Francisco.
I gotcha. It's funny because yeah, I knew immediately what you meant when you said that. So
Green
this isn't
Monkey.
too bad. It does take a bit to walk up the Narsh Mountain, but in the world of Bruin, where you can just nope out of it, and now he knows he's not going to wait for Umaro since he elected not to even pick him up.
Yeah, it's
Good,
definitely
he knows to throw the Excalibur. That'll do tons of damage.
it's definitely a trick for just one Esper. It's not the worst when you have not that many options, but you typically want to factor it in with a dragon or with Umaro. Definitely with the dragon, but in this seed, it's not dragon, and he doesn't need any more. So there's no
He doesn't
sense
need
in
any more
trying.
experience, that's for sure. I mean, you
Yeah.
can see his damage is just fine.
Meanwhile, Green Monkey doing Magitech, probably hoping to find a dragon down here, which we know he will not. But that would put him, I believe, at yeah, it will put him at enough espers to have. Well, so he's just gonna be on a dragon hunt after this,
Which I think is why he chose Magitech for the lots of bosses. What we know is that
right.
none of them are a dragon, so he will probably be cursing by the time he gets to the end of this Magitech check.
Yeah, and with Cyan, I hope he goes there next. Also due to the bosses, but it is. It would be frustrating to have all your requirements but the random dragons. Meanwhile,
So it
nobody will
just-
response his fourth.
Do I read that wrong? It just said we need 12 Espers. Dusk that just said he had his Kefka objective. He might have 12 Espers. Did
Oh,
we miss
let
a
me.
few? I saw on his screen pop up that said he was ready for Kefka, and he's in his levels 40s. He might be going to Kefka right now.
Yeah, Swans, our tracker, just chimed in and said he might have missed a few. All three conditions are required in his 12 Esper, so it was
Yeah,
just a
he's in.
Cal
He's
issue.
going to Kefka's tower, and he's got the damage. So our first to KT is the little bro. That's awesome.
I know it wasn't a huge comeback, but it feels like it because it felt like he was on pace and bam, out of nowhere, just shooting the Kefka's tower. But in reality, he had been rocking a really good pace this entire run, and it's paying off. He's going in way before any of the other three runners are.
Yeah, Kefka Tower at an hour 12 is a very good time. My goal is usually to get to Kefka Tower by about an hour 10. So, or sooner. So, hour 12 in a seed like this is a very good time where you have such high Rex and dragons that are shuffled.
Yeah, because it's looking like Nobody War is going to be, searching for that dragon and,
And with Green Monkey for sure.
or sorry, I meant Green
Oh, that's who
Monkey.
you meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, my
Nobody War
bad.
has his. He's still looking
Yes.
for Magic Sight.
And he will find his 11th one here, so it's a matter of how quickly he can find his 12th one. But at that point, Dusk could be pretty far into Kefka's tower, and should have, probably not a lot of issues, I would imagine, with given the equipment that they have.
Just prepping his people already, it looks like, for Kefka's Tower, putting Golem on Shadow. I sometimes do that early as well because I sure hate when I forget to do it.
I have a bad habit of over menuing at the very end for
Mm-hmm.
that reason. But it also really depends on what magic that you have and what you still need to learn. And you don't want to menu too much around. I know for me, a big time loss is menuing on Espers in particular and trying to balance too much unneeded magic. And so it is kind of a trade off with that.
We're having some tough fights here. Looks like Sid's struggling a little bit. Ooh, and the zombie, leaving him only with Mog left.
He's poisoned.
Yeah, who's poisoned and has a Shadow and Gao both zombified, bringing up Setzer. And Nobody War. I've seen him throw a couple of the wrong items that got us, healing her for 6,000. Okay, but he gets the kill with Setzer and Gao down, eating the pavement. But
Yeah, they're going to miss out on the
getting
experience
through a
there.
goddess fight, you're always happy to get through a goddess fight, so.
Yeah, I noticed this with Dusk that I think this seed, the one thing we're missing is good defense. I saw Dusk without some chess pieces on some
His
people.
Shadow has no armor at all.
I think it's Setzer doesn't have any either, and Nobody was taking so much damage from a clean sweep that I would be questioning his chess pieces too. I think that's the one thing we really haven't found. There's all this great offense, but not a lot of defense.
Yeah, his other three characters have been in the air, and Gao has great defense, so he hasn't felt it yet because the others are always just jumping. So that could come to bite him here in Kefka's. So.
And I think it's gonna be interesting. Like for a while, I was pretty anti-armor. I thought like armor was important, but no reason to go out of your way for it. But I have been burned a lot getting the Kefka and having great offense and just not being able to hang on and being surprised how much damage I'm taking. And it's something that can sneak up on people, and then you get into tier 1 and he's hitting you for 2k a punch, and you're wondering, whoa, where did this come from?
Another thing, I guess, because I've mentioned several of them, but another thing that I really like in the free chests, or free shops, is you get tons of gear, so your other characters, by the time you get to Kefka's Tower, you can just deck them out with good equipment.
Yeah, or just grab a little bit of everything, right? Like, with Dust not having any armor on some of his characters, like, even stuff like a Crystal Mail would have been better than nothing, right? So just, you see it, grab it early, because you never know if it's going to come up or not.
See Green Monkey, we thought we need to update his dragon tracker. He has his 3 dragons. Is he,
I don't think he does. I think he has...
does he not? Is he hoping to find him in Kefka's Tower?
He never did Cyan's Dream. And he doesn't have Strago, so he didn't
House.
Burning House. I think he has 1. I think he's banking on dragons here, which is you're looking
Very
for
risky.
2 dragons in 4 fights. That I would go in with
Uh,
maybe 2 out of 3, but 1 out of 3 is,
if
uh,
maybe
it's a
if
tough
there was a
sell.
skip involved, so you're hoping to find them, warp out, get the skip, and warp back in. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe, but yeah, I think he had enough checks left that it is an interesting play to come looking for dragons and Kefkas.
Someone in chat saying that he has 2 dragons on his auto tracker, which
Okay,
is
so
interesting. He has
Swan's just
Yumaro.
updated it to 2. He just wants to find his third here.
Yeah, I need to go
Which,
back and look at the bot. I'm curious where the other dragon was, because I thought we've only seen 4, and he couldn't have done Burning House. He didn't do Cyan's Dream, so there must have been a dragon I missed.
yeah, possibly. I don't remember either, so. Let's see. Oh, I lost the chat. Pull that back up.
We missed Ice Dragon somewhere according to our tracker, and
Gotcha.
I'll see. We'll see where that was, but that was a check that only Green Monkey did. So I'm not really sure where that ended up being. But well, we'll figure it out later. I'll be interested to go
For
back
sure.
and look
We
at the
can
bot
interview
later.
him and ask where he got his
Yeah.
dragons. So.
But that is going to be interesting. You know, he's pretty much neck and neck with Dusk if you remove that dragon, which means he will be taking up to 3 extra fights that Dusk won't, and then it's still a gamble. You know, if he finds a dragon, it will really cut the lead a lot. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a much different story.
And like the Schwantz is pointing out, or was it Hefe? Hefe is pointing out that the statues can be dragons now. I did not know that. Isn't that a bug that they were planning on fixing, where statues can be dragons?
So I don't know how
I
it works.
believe someone went through a seed recently and posted that he did every boss fight in the game, and still didn't find the dragons.
Oh,
Find
interesting.
like 3 of them. So.
I know that. So looks like Swans is saying that with 1.0 they changed it because pre 1.0 there was a barrier right where Dusk is right now that stopped you from going forward without having your dragon requirement. But I believe that got
That's
moved
right,
back
and now
all
it's
the way.
just the only thing is you can't step on those switches.
Right. And I think that makes Green Monkey's decision a lot more informed at that point and a lot better of a decision because you have a lot more chances.
There's
of
a lot of
just
potential bosses that could be
Yeah.
a dragon. Absolutely. And you have to fight them anyway. So instead of searching forever through all your checks to find the dragon, I mean, fight the bosses you know you have to fight anyway and hopefully find your dragon there. Yeah, it's a solid reasoning.
Yeah, with 2, I think that's a really smart move. I think that's a good way. I mean, it's still risky, but I would have done the same thing at that point. And Grey Monkey running into tentacles probably won't have any problem with him, but
No.
I always hate finding him in Kefka's Tower. He can really surprise you at slowing down or even wiping your party when you're only running 2 or 1 people.
And nobody were completing his requirements.
That's
He is
right.
now ready for Kefka Tower, so.
Like, he's good to go. Meanwhile, Sid looks like he's doing. No, he's backing out of Gogo. So we'll see where he ends up going. I don't know if I would do Gogo's check here. You need an Esper, but you also need 2 dragons. But he is running less characters than everyone, so he has less options available to him than our other runners did.
Oh, and look what Green Monkey finds.
There you go. Paid off for him. That was.
It absolutely did. Good call.
I'll call that a smart gamble that he did there.
Absolutely.
And
And Jones also pointing out in the chat that what I was talking about was not the same thing. That was a bug based on making bosses random instead of shuffled.
and so
That made it hard to find the dragons. So don't do a random dragon fight. Just do.
So, does random mean that every boss just rolls when you go into the boss? What kind of obviously pre-roll, but
Yeah, basically. Because if it's random instead of shuffled, you can run into the same boss multiple times, or some bosses no times.
Right.
So
and
if you're doing a dragon hunt and there are not 8 dragons,
right,
could be
and
a problem.
you have to hard code something in to make sure dragons are exempt from that rule and that they're shuffled in or
Ooh.
something like that.
And Dusk run into Magi Master in the tower, but he has Berserk. So that was off of Magi site. Hopefully everybody has, so it won't cause anybody problems.
We
A good
have
job with the quick berserk, and now he knows to just kill him.
we have on our tracker a section for every Magicite and noteworthy spells, and the only thing that's filled out is Berserk, and no other Magicite were marked down for noteworthy spells.
For interesting spells.
With
Oh
all this
shoot.
offense, Magic's not used that much, but Berserk is very noteworthy. It doesn't come up often,
Absolutely.
but it turns this fight to horrendous to, perfectly great. And I think that's going to be interesting for other runners because Magic Master in one of the towers makes or breaks races. I have lost races because I had the wrong party against Magic Master and my opponent didn't, and that's a big part of this randomizer. And so other people run into him and they don't have Berserk. This becomes a much different race.
Oh, Sid finds Sabin. I don't know if that's what he was looking for. Nope, just looking for one more Magicite, hoping for a quick one. Instead, he finds Sabin in Gogo's check. Green Monkey finding an Ice Dragon as well. So, lots of dragons. But what is he doing?
Did Sid decide not to take Sabin? Because at this point, I might take him for the checks, but I guess he decided
He
not
picked
to.
up Sabin.
Oh, okay, I guess the tracker just didn't update.
Yeah, I think not. I think he even put him on his team. So,
Oh, there you go.
Schwanz, how can you be Ice Dragon twice? Don't know. So if his tracker said it was Ice Dragon Schwanz, the I know like Emo Tracker, it can get confused as to which dragon you did fight when you fight the dragon since they're not in their vanilla locations, and it will highlight an incorrect dragon. So that
Yeah.
is maybe what happened, and he didn't actually fight the Ice Dragon before.
Yeah, I don't use an auto tracker, but for mine, I click on the dragon who was at the spot, not the dragon I fought, because that way I can keep track of locations with it. So it very well could be that. But that doesn't make sense here where the bosses are rarely shuffled because there's not dragons and dragon spots.
Yeah,
So,
Killboss Iago says Emo Tracker shows you fought the dragon in world, not that you defeated one in battle.
oh, interesting.
Oh.
Well, regardless, he has his dragon count, and he's moving along. Nobody were not that far behind, getting to the mandatory middle path fight before he finished the first part of the tower. So we have a pretty close race with normalizing the start on with Final Kefka. All three of our runners, it really could go back and forth, especially with some of the defense that's happening.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one for sure. Green Monkey, who was right on Dusk's tails, like right behind him, warped out. I don't see why he did, though, what he got for it. But he warped out of Kefka's tower and went back in. So,
I
not
wasn't paying
sure.
attention.
I didn't see him go to a shop or anything. I just saw he was back on his airship. And then I went to see if he went anywhere else. And maybe he did and went back. I don't know. But he just went right back into Kefka's tower. So
We'll have to ask him. He might have run into Magic Master and warped out, but I didn't think he was far enough on that path yet. But he very well could have been. I've definitely done that before. I lost one of my last races for doing that. Having the warp out against Magic Master when you don't have to skip is a very slow thing to do, but sometimes you have to.
Oh, to rearrange his team, maybe. Yeah, that very well could be. Oh, Hefe also a good point. He might have just had his main party looking for dragons and still needed to split it. So once he found the dragons, then he just switched. He needed to warp out to split up his team more
I don't know if I would have
evenly distributed.
I don't know
wouldn't
if I would have done that. Yeah, because the dragons being scaled, they're going to be easy. If they're unscaled, I might not have done it, but with them being scaled, you probably can take them on. But
That
we'll
was
see.
his plan, though. Killboss confirms he only had one character on the left side, so.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Dusk takes a loss to Guardian. Guardian at higher levels really can.
Really tough.
Yeah, he's surprisingly tough. You don't think much of him, but he has the highest HP in the game for normal bosses outside of Veggie Master. And so it can turn into a damage rate, especially if you don't have a lot of healing and only two people.
With no armor?
Yeah, you can see that shrapnel did a lot of damage to him, and that's going to be really nasty for Dusk. And taking that loss is going to narrow the gap between all three of our runners here.
Oh, if he If it's not the middle path, maybe with you defeat all the other bosses, warp out and back in with your main party down that path. I don't know. Unless he thinks he can beat it. But it is risky, so we'll see.
Let's see how part 2 goes. Shadow does have a lot of HP, so
That was
HP
a lot
can
of
make up
HP.
for defense, especially with jumping. And using Quadra Slice sets are not horrendous, but I mean,
Not really good either. And
I
poor Sid, just looking for a dragon, finds another Terra.
one thing about something like Quadra Slice that I know that I've tried to get better at, and I don't know how often other runners think about, is animation time. That sometimes, especially in Kefka Tower, when you're using your not main party members, you might think, well, they can do any damage, it's better than nothing. They're sitting there, but you know, if they're taking a long time to do a spell or an attack, you got to question whether it's worth the damage they're doing compared to just letting your main party member,
Or
go
using
to
them
town.
just to wait trick.
Right.
Should be.
A lot of times I just keep them active because sometimes you got to throw a X potion out real quick or something, right? And you hate to have both people be queued up for attacks when you need it, especially if you're doing something like was it worth doing a 2,000 damage Quadra Slice if you gave up using a healing item?
Absolutely. Hefe also with a good point in the chat mentioning, or maybe just swap some armor between the people you do have so they do have armor.
Yeah.
That was a painful medio for sure.
But I think he'll do enough damage to get by this at this point. I think this should be the last hit on Guardian because he's
been doing 10 to 20,000.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an Atma weapon though, so now his damage just got neutered.
Oh no, you're right. I assumed it was a spear of some sort, but he dodged that. Hopefully he'll heal up.
He'll just X potion and jump again, or elixir, whatever.
82 X potions. Who needs cure?
He's got a few, yeah.
And Green Monkey running into Magic Master, so we'll see how he deals with this.
He's prepared for it, yeah.
He does have throw, so he has his party member's throw.
Oh, he's good.
Party member with Diet Knife, so it just comes down to can he kill him before Magic Master can kill him, right?
Looks like it's he was healed on the flame, so I don't know if she has. Oh, that was really good damage.
Yeah.
Sid finding a dragon finally, Dirt Dragon. Good job, Sid. Not getting Cyan has definitely made his seed take a bit longer.
If you're Sid, now you wonder if you just go the Kefka Tower with 2. We of course know that will pay off easily because there are 2 dragons in there.
You could go with 1.
Yeah.
Nice job to Dusk, who we're all unofficially cheering for, I know. Good job to him taking out the Guardian without any armor on.
Like the reminder.
Normalize and Distort on. Actually, Normalize and Distort probably would bring Guardian down in hit points, right?
Like the reminder community that us commentators do are impartial and
Yes,
root for everyone
we are.
equally. And
We love everybody.
But yeah, so Green Monkey easily able to do enough damage to get by Magic Master even without Berserk, whereas Nobody War is also starting the fight. He has a Gallus Throw, so and it looks like some decent defense.
And a Gallus Throw.
Yep. So hopefully he'll be able to power on Throw.
Oh, hopefully he's got a Paladin Shield or something to get through all the elemental damage he's about to endure. Nope. Oh, that was a tough wave.
And Dusk is our first to final Kefka. But this is really one mean tier 2 away from being anyone's race.
Oh, and there Nobody War is. That's true. Or tier 3. I think they have the damage, like you've been saying. Normalize and Distort. If you get to Kefka early and don't have the damage, Lady always has 10,000 hit points. Really easy to kill her so she doesn't just keep healing. But in this, she might be doing Pearl, or what is it? Is it Pearl Wind? To heal both her and whatever the other one's called, the Jesus looking one, for 10,000 for quad 9s every turn, and you'll need to do 20, 30, 40,000 damage to her, making it really, really difficult.
Yeah, it makes counting too. Like I know I count for both or tried to for both Sleep counting down to his media phase and for Kefka counting down for his less than half HP phase, and it makes counting really messed up. That I think most runners don't even bother with it at that point.
I agree with Franklin in the chat though, saying, nah, girl won't be a problem here. With his damage that he is throwing out with these Atmo weapons and throwing sky renders, there's not a whole lot to worry about. So
I think, especially with throw, because you got to remember with jump with the horns, it's a little more random, even though you get to pick the first one. But with throw, I think you have enough you can get by. I think your bigger problems going what you're seeing right here on Dust Screen, which is when you don't have a lot of armor, Tier 1 is mean.
yeah, those
you have,
punches hurt.
yeah, you have 3k HP, and those punches still won't do anything if you're not wearing chest armor. And normally you don't worry about Tier 1 as much. He's kind of the easiest of the 4 tiers, but with normalizing the Stort and no armor, he can easily sneak up on our runners.
And a lot of his jumps fell where he wanted to first, and then went to short arm several times. So he's switching up his strategy, letting the jumpers hold off a bit, let throw finish off that long arm before he goes back to jumping.
And he doesn't really have any instant death. He's trying
He
to
actually killed long arm last, so which is a double shockwave, a lot better than if the head is last, and that's an earthquake. Sorry, I cut you off there.
I was gonna say it's interesting because he was trying to chainsaw him because he has no other instant death available to him, except for hoping chainsaw randomly procs, which is typically not what you try to hope for with chainsaw.
No, but I've had it happen before, and it is wonderful when it does. It's pretty low, but I've definitely done it before. I also am the one that gets a chainsaw to do the insta kill attempt on Goddess 25 times until you die. So
why you always pick drill over chainsaw
every time
if you're trying to do damage. And unfortunately, nobody could not get by that Magic Master, and he had to warp out and reconstruct his party. Like I said, I know I did that in a tournament race recently, and it is brutal. It is such a big time loss to walk all the way back. But Magic Master can do that. He's a tough nut to crack in Kefka's Tower.
Oh, he's gonna chainsaw again. Oh, I hope he gets it off. That will be hilarious. So he did have Siren, which is awesome. That is super helpful. And he does! He gets the chainsaw off on Machine and gets the insta-kill.
Between that and Mute, that really trivializes this fight a lot more.
Super easy. Yeah, absolutely. With the damage that he's got, he'll be able to kill Tiger hopefully before anything too terrible comes out. And after that, he does have to worry a little bit about 10 hits with the amount of armor that he's not using.
And that's why you make sure you kill hit second to last, right? Because with muted magic, you don't need to worry. You can take your time healing back up. He has plenty of X potions, so even if you lose the 10 hits, you're not moving on to the next round with someone lying on the ground.
Oh, and that Doom Gaze is just being a complete jerk on Sid's screen. Dooming people, Whirlywind. Oh, see, he's trying to Doom again. Luckily, he was in the air for this one. That Doom Gaze is, Which I don't know where Sid is that he's electing to fight Doom Gaze. He doesn't need anything but dragons.
Yeah, he's at Penumbra. I would have reset
that's
out
what I
personally.
thought. Which I would have just reset, but interesting.
Yeah, and he's going to be kicking himself when he finally gets to the Kefka Tower and finds those 2 dragons after he's, searching around. Because that's all he needs right now, and that's why he has not made his way into the tower yet.
So, Boo the Runner is very happy with also Dust Lamond using 3 of his people as jumpers. He's a big fan of Dragoons, so... And it looks like in this seed, Dragoons are having a good payoff, but Green Monkey is right behind him, just jumped into Tier 1, so...
And nobody were not too far behind, finishing up his last few bosses. We're going to see a pretty long final Kefka. The Normalized Distort really just adds a lot of HP to everyone, as we can see on Dust Lamond's screen, taking forever to kill magic, even when you're doing close to max damage on each throw.
There's tons of hit points. WR Jones, I agree. Dragoons are always the answer. I wasn't as huge of a fan when I started playing Worlds Collide. I'm like, oh, but they're so slow. They go in the air. You wait for them to come down. But honestly, the more I play the game, the more I'm like, give me those dragon horns. I think dragoons are definitely worth it. Hey, Sid, he finds his storm dragon. Oh, I'm sure he's very happy to find that final dragon, hoping that everybody else struggled to find them as much as he did, which he will be disappointed to find out.
And Green Monkey very quickly getting through tier 1 and already on to tier 2. That was a very fast tier 1. And Dusk already popping his Golem, which can be a little bit of a risk, because if someone dies after you pop Golem and you revive them, they do not have their Golem protection anymore.
Good job, Cyan, double jumping on girl, and then twice on boy. As Jeremy told me, I need to call him instead of the Jesus-looking one, because I forget what his official name is.
It's Sleep.
So.
Well, actually, they don't have official names at all. So all the names you hear are the fan names that have been around since the 90s. But
Gotcha.
But Sleep is.
Ooh, that Meteo definitely hurt, and he doesn't have Lady and elected to throw on boy. Oh, but she only has 3,000 hit points.
Hold on a second, and so you know she only
that
has
might
about
take
6
out
miles in.
Shadow. He has some jumpers waiting, but this might finish both of them, honestly. Let's see if he gets a there's a calmness. Okay, so no Shadow going to the final fight. I think he'll be fine anyway.
You don't see that often where they get killed at the same time. That was very close. It very well easily could have killed Sleep and had Lady revive Sleep, which you don't ever see. But with normalizing the Stort, it makes it very weird and different.
So our impartial cheering for Dusk isn't because he's my little brother, but because this is his first community race.
Oh, well, congratulations. He is
We got to root for the underdog.
Putting on quite a clinic. Meanwhile, Green Monkey, unfortunately, struggling a bit with tier 2.
Struggling a bit with tier 2. He's got 2 frozen characters.
A zombified gal.
Oh, a frozen zombie.
I guess that's one way to stop him from attacking people.
Yeah, that's true. He's not killing his own people, at least.
Sid finally entering Kefka's tower, and will be making his way up, while Dusk is racking on the damage with all those jumpers. I don't think he'll be missing Shadow too much with this.
Celeste jumping is doing just fine, and he's got Mega Elixirs, at least the one from... Oh, just the one from Magimaster, which is all he needs. Using the weight trick, playing it safe.
Yeah.
Good.
The weight trick, very invaluable against Kefka and the other tiers as well. Mm-hmm. Especially with some of the longer animations that you can really cut down the number of his attacks. And Nobody War getting through Ultros and Chupon, and I believe this will be his last fight, I think, before Kefka.
Ooh, and a Hyperdrive taking out his Gao. But that Cyan dropping down for 13,000. I don't think Kefka's got too much in him.
Yeah, I don't either, and I think we'll see time in a few seconds. I can't imagine there's a lot more HP.
Oh, Nobody War taking a... Was that a death on Chupon?
Looked like it. I was looking over at Dusk.
I've been watching Dusk, yeah, fighting this Kefka fight. Oh, perfect time to charge a Goner. I think this is it. Got Chuponed.
And
cow.
That is time for Dusk.
G to Dusk. I hope he knows the type done. He does, with an official time of 140. Oh, just under 141.13. 141.12.999. So.
Very good time, and like we said, Dusk's first community race, and he gets the victory both with our on-stream and our off-stream. No other off-stream racers got him before, so GG to him. That was an incredible show, and hopefully we can get him in for an interview.
He's already in the waiting room, so
yeah, well,
let's pull him in.
Yep.
All right, Dusky there.
Hello?
Hey,
hello,
GG.
welcome. GG.
I finished first, huh?
Run. You were the first. You absolutely won.
Holy crap. That's amazing. Yay!
So, how did it feel running your first community race?
This is the first one I've ever been part of the restream for. I ran one just last week, but I placed like 7th or something, so I'm really excited. I can't believe I got first. I mean, that seed was loaded.
Yeah, with the random dragons, that really caused a lot of difference. You found some, in your route very naturally, and I think that really was kind of a big difference. It was funny for us because the tracker wasn't fully updated, so we thought you were a little bit behind, and then you were going in the Kefka Tower, and we're like, what? And it turns
Everybody's
out,
like, what? Wait.
yeah, it turns out you had 3 more espers. Yeah, 3
See,
more
I was
espers than we
keeping track.
thought.
See, that's how I was keeping track of my Magicite, and I missed one, because I was like, I only have 11 Magicite. Why is it telling me I'm good to go? But I recounted, and there were 12, so...
You recount instead of just trusting. If it tells you you're good to go, you're good to go.
I started going, but while I was in the menus, I just kind of tried to glance at them, because I was trying to equip... Because I got Siren and Golem, and that was huge for Kefka's Tower. But...
Yeah, so what I've been saying on the stream, I really liked your strategy of getting your 1 Paladin down on the ground while getting your 3 Dragoons into the air. So let Gao tank everything while everybody else was doing a bunch of damage. However, I was surprised that you had as little armor as you did at the end of the game with free shops.
I was worried. When I went into Kefka's Tower, I don't know if I had, like, 1 character with a chest piece, and those are, like, the best armors in the game. So I was sitting there like, I don't think I'm ready for this, but I want to go.
We were commenting on that. Yeah, especially tier 1, who his physical damage to chest pieces really matter a lot for that. And once you got by that, you probably knew you were fine. But I noticed, I think it was Gao got one-shotted with like 4,000 HP on tier 1 by a random punch.
And 10 hits scared me. 10 hits scared me so bad.
I was worried about that watching for sure.
Most of the dogs and.
Green Monkey jumps into Kefka with only Celeste at 400 hit points at tier 4. He's trying it though. He's trying to res Mog and keep it going.
We'll see how this goes.
Back to what you were saying, Dusk. That's just for Green Monkey. That looks not good.
I know. I gotta actually jump on the stream and watch what's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
So we got the seed kind of last minute. There was a lot of confusion in chat with who was rolling it and stuff like that. How much time did you have to look over the flags? Because us as commentators, we didn't even realize dragons were mixed in until the 30-minute mark. Did you have a chance to look over everything, or was there anything that surprised you that you didn't know was enabled?
Well, Jex was kind of talking about this flag set that he chose, and I loaded the flag set without even having the seed yet, and I just kind of glanced through that just to see what he was talking about. He mentioned something about mixed dragons, so I just assumed that's what, because someone called it a dragon hunt, and I remembered that before we started. So I thought, okay, if dragons are mixed, then I should find them on the way. And then you'll notice, partway through the run, I hadn't found a dragon yet, and I went to Zozo, and I just checked to make sure dragons weren't where they were supposed to be. And when it was the frickin' Dullahan thing, I was like, okay, so they've got to be mixed in, right?
Yeah, that's how we found out was you or someone ran the Dullahan. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not who's supposed to be
that's not
there.
Dragon.
Yeah, I'd heard a thing about it beforehand, so I have written in my notes: free shop, empty chest, mixed dragons, Y remove, and that's like everything I knew before I went in.
Did that change any of your routing, either Y remove or the mixed dragons? Such as going to Magic Tech to get more bosses. Did that impact any of your decision making?
Yes, I definitely wanted to hit as many bosses as possible. That's why I went to Magitech. Cyan's Dream ended up being a lot better for me. There were 2 dragons in there, and
that was the key to the seed for sure. Sid was going very quickly. Strong characters, high levels, good gear. He did more shopping than everybody else at the beginning, but I mean, he's currently 10 and 15 and 3 dragons because he didn't go to Kefka Narsh. Or Mog to check at Narsh, didn't get Cyan, didn't do the dream, and it took him a lot longer to find those dragons.
Yeah, I count myself lucky to have gotten Cyan and wanted to do the dream, because I didn't even think the sword text would be worth it. I eventually saw Setzer had it, and I think I used it once for negligible damage. But I like Cyan's Dream as a check, and it just happened to be 2 dragons sitting in there, so.
And you had the damage. I mean, your Dragonhorn jumpers were jumping for tons, and then throwing those sky renders. I saw those tack stars at the beginning, and I was like, oh, I'd throw those. And then immediately after, you bought your 99 sky renders, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's definitely got his choices of things to throw. Plenty of damage.
I totally missed the tack stars. I don't know.
Oh, you missed those.
where those were.
Pick those up then.
I don't think it matters
Yeah, a lot of
a lot
people
when you
use
can buy
them,
any weapon to throw. Attack Star suddenly are, who cares if you have
Right, when
skeletons and strikers.
When I have Excaliburs to throw at Doom and Sky Renders to throw at basically anywhere else, I think
Right.
I'm fine.
It don't matter as much.
That super close race. So Green Monkey actually, so his Celeste that only had 400 hit points had a Valiant Knife offering. So we'll have to talk to him about that. He was able to get the second place finish with an hour 45, and then off screen Dr. DT finished just 2 minutes after him at 147. So. Anything else you found interesting or made the seed for you, Dusk?
Just the dragons in the dream. That was the major thing that really sold it for me. I mean, finding boots and horns right at the start, I'm like, okay, I've got to do a jumping strat. That's got to be fun, right? And it worked.
You're the only one who really went
Palador.
that strat.
Oh, really? I thought everyone was going to. With how much power I had, I thought, okay, everyone's going to finish up before me or around me. And so when I saw I was a little over an hour and a half in, I felt good, but I didn't figure I'd be first. But
Yeah, well, congrats.
Glad I got
had
the luck
everybody
for it.
unofficially rooting for you because we're impartial commentators. So,
But yeah, I'll drop off and we'll hear from Green Monkey, I guess. Thanks, guys.
awesome. Yeah,
Congratulations
thanks.
again.
GG.
And I think up next we have Green Monkey, our second place winner.
Green Monkey, GG. I was super nervous for you watching that Kefka fight, man.
Oh, what was there to worry about?
Yeah, so tell us about that. We
Good
had a
thing you
moment.
had image. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a moment of panic where we did not realize Celeste had Valiant Knife on her as we were interviewing Dusk, and then I looked over and Kefka was dead. I'm like, wow, that did it very quickly.
Yeah, she had Diet Knife offerings, so. And a Mirage Fest. It was a little dicey, though. I had to, I rezzed up my little dudes just to maybe tank a whatever thing that.
A Havoc
just so
Wing or something if it hits you.
yeah.
It's unlikely to be hit with the Mirage Fest, but it can happen.
Yeah, I was also I don't know, normalizing Distort was messing with me. I didn't realize a few, Lady took
Oh, 30,000
A
hit
girl on
points
it.
or 40? It took a lot
Yeah,
to kill
I
her.
just kept throwing shit at her. I was like, what's happening here? That tier 3 caught me off guard. I wasn't.
That kind of
expecting
caught
it.
Dust too, who finished just a couple minutes before you, as he was already throwing at Boy instead of continuing to throw his sky renders at Lady, thinking maybe that his jumpers would finish her off.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was weird. But it was cool. I guess I don't know if other people did the Kefka. Just jumped into the tower and were looking for dragons, but
You were actually the only one, and it freaked us out a bit because our tracker wasn't updated, and so we thought you only had one dragon, and we also did not realize the dragon requirements changed where we thought it checked where it used to right before the switches or even before the party meets back up, and yeah, so we once we realized you had two and you had all the bosses to pull from a dragon from, we realized it was a very good gamble on your part, and obviously it paid off easily because there were two dragons. Two.
no,
dragons.
I only had
There
one
were two.
dragon going in.
Oh, you
I
did?
only-
I think you had two.
I
Yeah,
only
but
had blue dragon. I was just like, this is the highest concentration of bosses left.
Okay, that makes sense. Schwanz was like, I thought
And I had
it says he has two dragons, but I swear I only saw him get the one. So
Oh,
and then
my
he found Red
tracker is
Dragon
weird.
and Ice Dragon full
Yeah.
in Kefka's tower, which honestly it saved you. That was huge. That made that an excellent call.
Yeah.
Sid,
And
however, who is still in Kefka's tower, went and tried to find them just by doing checks, which honestly that's probably what I would have done, because there were still plenty of checks to try. And Sid is now 10 and 15. So
oh, jeez. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I was thinking about the I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff. I'm trying to think of like what other good checks there were. I was thinking about the Dream, Science Dream, because I had a couple bosses, but like I don't know. I wanted to do like a 4 boss. I figured worst case I warp out and go back searching again, and then I have a cleared tower.
Right,
But
which isn't the worst thing. I mean, it is a time suck, but I mean,
yeah,
high risk, high reward, and it paid off. Excuse me,
yeah,
it paid
for
off for
sure.
you. You obviously cleared that a lot faster than it could have been had that not been had they not been there. So
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, it would have been kind of crappy,
a
but
couple of our other racers did. So you didn't do Cyan's Dream, right?
I did not. No, I had it
Cyan's
available to me at
Dream.
the end.
2 of the 3 bosses were dragons, so
Uh,
that was the real key to the seed. So Dusk and
Two of the two
Nobody War.
bosses, right?
Oh yeah, it would have been. So
Damn. Ah,
3
that
checks,
sucks.
but only 2 bosses, and 2 of
Yeah.
them were dragons. So Dusk and Nobody were the 2 that went there, and were. I still think you were second into Kefka's tower. You just went in without all of the requirements, and then had to warp
Okay.
out and warp back in. And in that time, Nobody War had gone in, so he went in slightly before you, but you had bosses out of the way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the way his party was set up, Chupon was just wrecking him, and he tried Chupon several times and just said, you know what, it's not worth it. I think I'll take a forfeit on this one.
Oh damn.
So,
Yeah, I felt like I had
which
pretty good
happens
offense.
to everybody.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. If the offense isn't there or whatever, especially
Right.
4-player, finding it for 4 people.
Yep.
Yeah, it was tough. I don't know. It was weird. The dragon things are weird. Whenever it's dragon.
Normalize and Distort makes any seed hard in and of itself, and then having to find the dragons too makes
Yeah.
it a little bit more of a crapshoot for sure.
Yeah, you just
So-
try to like dive to like I went to floating continent. I'm like, okay, 4 bosses, and it was
That was
Magitech
most
3. It was the
interesting.
same thing.
Exactly. That's everybody's like, oh, well, it's easy. You just go where the most bosses are. Let's do Magitech and let's do
Yeah.
Floating Continent. And almost everybody did those. I think everybody did those. And there's no
Yeah.
dragons. So,
It's frustrating, but it's a fun race though to do every once in a while. You know what I mean? And go
yeah,
hunting
Dragon
and-
Race usually at 3 is not so bad. I mean, I'm willing to do
Yeah,
a Dragon
yeah,
Race
yeah.
that-
If you're doing
for
like
3
6 or
dragons. So you're not doing it for 8 like the Red Baron seed of the week. That was 8 dragons.
yeah.
Where you literally had to complete every single check in the game. We all
Yeah.
finished 1624 or 1424 or whatever it was, just to find the
Yeah.
last freaking dragon.
It was like
So-
3-hour best time.
That's actually, again, I complained about dragon hunts, but I did win that one. It was about 240.
240.
it was-
Okay, yeah.
It was still painful. It was still
Yeah, it's
painful.
a painful
240 doing
240,
every
yeah.
check. It's super easy. You're level 80 by the time you get to Kefka.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, GG. Congrats on the 2nd place. Seto, are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to coordinate with our restreamer some
Okay, I
final
thought you were doing
touches.
something behind the scenes. So
Yeah,
Yeah, no worries.
figured you could lead
Thanks,
this
guys.
interview.
yeah, thanks absolutely, Green Monkey. Always a pleasure.
And thanks
GG.
for doing all the comms and restreaming and all that stuff people are doing. So,
Drew and Sid having some bad luck here on Kefka. He got his Mog zombified, who then jumped and killed Setzer and Gao. So I think once he gets his people up, he'll have a better time.
Yeah, and luckily with having 15 espers and some characters, while Kefka is normalized and distorted, there is no scaling with him. So he has more options available to him, and since he's been running a bit longer, it means he should, in theory, have more experience and higher stats. So that should hopefully mean that, Final Kefka should hopefully be a little bit easier than some of our runners, especially when Setzer is doing almost 4k damage with the Valiant Knife offering.
Oh, and it looks like I messed up. It was Magi Master that he was struggling with, not the Chupon fight. I thought, yeah, I was watching a couple streams and talking at the time. I apologize for that. So, yeah, Magi Master, if you don't have the right people to do the right damage in the right path, and just ruin your run.
Yeah, it's easily the biggest thing, and you try to plan for it, and people say, "Oh, make sure you have non-elemental damage with everyone, like on each path." But sometimes you just don't have the options to. Like, and
Exactly.
even if you have the damage like thrower, sometimes you just don't have the defense to. And it can be very very rough.
Without a Minerva or a Paladin shield or something, he's gonna do way, way too much damage. Absolutely. And even with some of those items, sometimes depending on if he does, like Whirlwind, like Sid just got on tier 3.
Yeah, but even with Whirlwind, Sid is doing so much damage right now. He needs to heal up his characters a little bit, but when you have 74 elixirs, that's
Yeah,
pretty easy to do.
probably be okay.
Yeah, I mean, but throwing for 9999 against Lady and Setzer going off with his, I mean, you could probably just skip the entire Meteo phase with what Setzer's doing at the moment. And hopefully he should not have any problems. Oh, especially, yeah, there you go. That attack star is
Doing
going to do
quad
it.
nines with the tag
And
stars, yeah.
Setzer should hopefully.
See, did he have calmness protection? Did he cast?
He did not. At least I did not see anything thrown out there.
Oh, that was a horrible Merton. That was a ton of damage.
Well, he got him back up, but the problem is another Merchant or a Meteo or a or Calmness going off can really change this for him.
There's calmness. Oh, taking
Ooh.
out Shadow, who's doing a bunch of damage.
Oh, no,
And
double
Mog.
Calmness.
Just not having a good go of it.
In our race room, Sid, who of course is a few seconds ahead of us since we're on a delay, posted a "This is fine"
This is
gif.
fine. Everything's
But
fine.
to be honest with you, with Setzer, like, yeah, you're probably fine. You're gonna get 2 people come in who have the item command, and with all the elixirs you have, that's actually like not a bad situation to be in. You hate to see double calmness with no protection, and losing your jumpers is a big deal. But you got a thrower who can do 9999, and that Setzer can do 40k. Like this is very doable for Sid.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like we said, the other people that he's got, hopefully Gogo's got some commands that are good, like throw. I mean,
Yeah.
he still should be fine. And he does, yeah, so he can just throw Sky Renders, Axe Stars, whatever, and do tons of damage.
And he's throwing for 9999 also. I mean, this is a damage
Done
rush.
deal.
I wouldn't say it's a done deal because you never know if a hyperdrive or
the Lumina or an Ultima or a double Havoc Wing.
yeah.
I shouldn't have said it. It's the commentator's curse, right?
I know. I didn't think
Did we just do that? I do that? Is this my fault?
I didn't think you would get into this phase this quickly.
Oh,
phase
no.
1, the nice thing about it is it's all single target, but you get into here, like, you can't Phoenix down Setzer because he's not going to come up and do damage before Goner comes out.
He would split the damage, though. I still would have done that. I still would have brought up somebody.
Yeah,
Hopefully this doesn't do too much.
I think doubtful.
I'm pretty
Gogo.
nervous this is going to kill Gogo.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's not my fault. I definitely did not say he was fine. This is fine.
No, it's my fault. I said I cursed them.
We did. It's the commentator's curse. Not your fault, Sid.
That is rough. However, I think given the end of this race, we are going to actually cut and do a raid to Sid's stream, so you can watch Sid race directly and see the last few minutes of him running through Final Kefka and everything. So, do you have
We
anything?
should sign off here first. Yeah, absolutely. So let's thank everybody again. Thank the runners. Follow them. Sid, Green Monkey, Dusk Lamond, Nobody War, and of course, people we need to thank the most, Restreamer, who is Classy Badger, as well as the Tracker, the Schwantz. They're really the ones putting in all the work. We're just having fun, commenting and watching a fun race, and racing the game, obviously. So uh, follow us. Go to play the game at FF6WC.com, as well as join our Discord. You'll find a bunch of fun people that love talking about the game and are very willing to help you out, get you started if you think this is something you'd find fun. So thanks.
Yeah, and if you look at chat, we have Nightbot has all of the Twitch streams for our racers and our restream team, and thank you for everyone who was watching. These Series 8 races are a lot of fun, and the community really enjoys, just kind of watching and joking around and seeing how our runners fare. And they all did very well with a very weird flag set. So I hope everyone enjoyed it and everyone was entertained. Um, yeah, so if there's nothing else, we'll see everyone on the other side. Have a great night.
All right, thanks, guys.